or go home. Right? There's something that happens to me right before I'm about to do something really big, right? It's a feeling. It's kind of an airy, soaring kind of freedom that's coupled with the deafening, tribal, percussive rhythm of my heartbeat, right? Which paralyzes many, but is the theme song of the fearless, right? Go big or go home. It's very Friday Night Lights, right? The team captain and the coaches are all huddled in at halftime, and they're the underdogs, and they want to take the state championship, right? Go big or go home. It's what we hear from artists, from actors, from dancers, from Olympic athletes when they're holding and clutching the medal and clutching the award, right? Go big or go home. But what happens when you go big? Super big. Bigger than you ever thought possible, and you go home anyway. You don't get the prize. You don't get the award. You don't get the medal. Right? My name is Eduardo Placer. It was a pleasure meeting you guys yesterday. I'm a social impact entrepreneur. I'm an actor. I'm an artist. I'm an instigator. And today I'm going to share 3 stories that all happened within the past year where I went big, super big, huge, and I went home anyway. So the first, for the past 2 years, I was an acting company member at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. Right? Now, the Oregon Shakespeare Festival is a world-renowned theater festival. It's in southern Oregon. It's about 5 hours from San Francisco and 5 hours from Portland. And they produce 11 plays in rotating repertory, and there are over 100 actors in the acting company. Right? It's like Camelot. It's a theatrical paradise. So every April, they begin the casting process for the following season, and all actors are up. Right? Just because you're in the company doesn't mean you're guaranteed a spot in the following season. Right? So they announced this season, and I had my eye on this role. The musical is called Head Over Heels. It was a world premiere meta-theatrical extravaganza with a book by Jeff Whitty, who wrote Avenue Q, and music by the Go-Go's. Fabulous! Right? It was like, this is amazing. And there is a lead clown role, kind of like the MC in Cabaret, and I thought, that's the role. And in the way that you can visualize something, I saw myself in this role in front of 1,200 people, and I was like, this is the role that's going to define my career. Right? Now, as part of the casting process, every actor has 7 minutes. It's called a voluntary opportunity to share your work. Right? You can do whatever you want in those 7 minutes. And I thought, what can I do in those 7 minutes that can show the casting team, there are like 7 people in the casting team, that I was the person for that role. Right? This is a meta-theatrical, crazy, crazy show. And I said, I got it. I'm going to turn my audition into a flash mob. Crazy, right? So that's what I did. I scheduled myself as the last audition of the day. So, I came in with a boombox, and I did the opening monologue of the play, and then I got one of the people from the casting team to walk into the space with me. And I said, now what I'm going to do the remaining of my time is I'm going to show you the traditional folk dance of Arcadia, the Macarena. Right? So I brought her up and we hey Macarena, right? I pressed play and we started dancing. And after 2 counts of 8, the doors opened and 40 people stormed into my audition. Right? There was a guy on stilts. There were samba dancers. There were mothers carrying their children. There were people wearing jogging clothes. There was a guy with a drum. All the actors who'd auditioned previously during the day showed up and participated in my audition. Right? So I turned an audition, which is normally a God, I hope I get it kind of moment, into a celebration of community, love, support. It was a selfless act. Right? These people had nothing. Why did they show up for my audition? Right? It was about community at that point. When are auditions about community? Right? So the artistic director was in tears. The casting director, one of the members of the casting team, she said it would take Eduardo Placer to produce his own audition. Right? Hashtag nailed it. A month later, I got a phone call from the artistic director. I didn't get the role, and they also didn't have a job for me this season. So I was unemployed. Right? So I went big, and I went home anyway. I went home, felt sorry for myself, I ate ice cream, and I binge streamed Netflix. So then a couple months after that, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I got a phone call, the dreaded phone call that every actor dreads, right? The actor's nightmare. And it's from the producer of Company at the West End. And she says, hello, Eduardo. We find ourselves in a little bit of a bind, and we would really love it if you could go on tonight for The Baker and Into the Woods. Pause button, rewind. Okay? I'd auditioned for The Baker and Into the Woods the previous season, and I didn't get it. I got another role, which was awesome, but I didn't get The Baker and Into the Woods. I didn't even understudy The Baker. I was understudying Jack. So they were asking me to perform a role that I've never rehearsed, I've never performed, I've never understudied, right? With 5 hours rehearsal, in front of 1,200 people, and a live orchestra. And I said yes. Okay, what's crazier is I had committed to teach a class at 10 o'clock in the morning on the history of the American musical, and I called the woman up and I said, listen, I'm going on tonight as The Baker Into the Woods. I can't do the full hour and a half, but I'll give you 45 minutes. So I taught the class anyway. 45 minutes, right? And that's about integrity, which is a whole other conversation, right? So then, at 12 o'clock, from about 12 to 1, I worked with the conductor and the musical director, and then I started going through the blocking of the play. I didn't even do it outside on the stage. Right? The guy who was playing the Baker had lost his voice, so he's writing the blocking on paper as he's pushing me through a rehearsal room. Actors are coming in and we're working on scenes. I basically get a pass of the show once, right? Then at 6 o'clock, I go out into the house, and I start singing with the orchestra. We do about 3 numbers. We stage the opening number, go to the staging of the opening number. This is outside, right? The theater holds 1,200 people. There are 3 levels to the space. It's a really dynamic theater, right? Now, more backstory. The Pacific Northwest was on fire, right, at that time. So the air quality was not great, right? So we started the show. Midway through Act 1, they held the show because of the air quality. And then they decided that they weren't going to continue the show after the intermission. Now, The Baker is one of the 5 roles, my 5 dream roles. It's the only one of the 5 that I've ever played. Right? So I stepped in under extreme circumstances, right? And because the Pacific Northwest was on fire, I wasn't able to finish the role. Thank you, God. Right? So I went big. I went home. I felt sorry for myself. I ate ice cream, and I binge streamed Netflix. Now, recently in November, I applied for a Fulbright Fellowship with National Geographic in Digital Storytelling. And the project that I created is called Ndoto Tamu, which means sweet dreams in Swahili. And this project would bring AIDS orphans in India, Kenya, and South Africa together in digital playgrounds to create art to fight the stigma of HIV and AIDS. What this work would then generate is opportunities for international artists to respond to the work these children created in international pop-ups all over the world. So I was one of 10 finalists, and I made it down to Washington, D.C. for an interview. And again, in that similar space, like, what can I do that's super big in this space to show that I'm the person who gets digital storytelling and the global audience that they're trying to track for this. So I decided what I was going to do is create a social media event around my interview. So, with help of people like Imani, who you will be meeting and who you've already met, we created this opportunity for people to wear orange on the day of the interview, and starting at 9 o'clock in the morning, whatever time zone they were in, they started posting pictures of themselves wearing orange. Some of them painted a red ribbon on their hands, right, committing to fight the stigma of HIV and AIDS, at National Geographic, at the Fulbright Foundation. Right? It made such a dent in the Twitter sphere that I was contacted by Fulbright saying, what's going on? We have no idea what's going on. Right? There were people in Egypt, Israel, Spain, Chile, all over the United States participating in this conversation. Right? I walked into the interview and they were like, wow, you've been pretty active on social media. And I said, absolutely, this is the Digital Storytelling Fellowship, right? A week later, I'm sitting in Inwood, torrential downpour, right, helping a friend move his car, and I get an email saying that I didn't get the fellowship. Right? My feelings were like the downpour right outside. So what did I do? I went home, I felt sorry for myself, I ate ice cream, and I binge streamed Netflix. So, why am I sharing these 3 stories to you as you're about to kick off this Artist to Citizen conference? Right? That thing that we hear, go big or go home, right, plays like a tape. But the point isn't about what happens after you go big. The point is that you go big, right? It doesn't matter that I didn't get the role. It doesn't matter that I didn't get to finish the role. It doesn't matter that I didn't get the fellowship. The point is I'm the guy who turns his audition into a flash mob, right? I'm the guy who says yes under extreme circumstances and go on stage and performs a role for 1,200 people holding a script with 5 hours of rehearsal. I'm the guy who says yes and creates a digital storytelling, international storytelling platform to fight the stigma of HIV and AIDS. So the question is, and the invitation to all of you as you show up here today, is to go big. Huge. Bigger than you ever thought was possible. Right? So what is that thing that you are committed to? There could be many. And think huge. Not like, I kind of want to help this one person across the street. Right? But like, I'm committed to world peace. Right? Or I want to reinvent our criminal punishment system to a criminal justice system. Right? Or I'm committed to the end of all disease. Or I want everyone in the world to have access to clean water. Right? That's inspiring. Right? But to say that, you've got to think huge. You've got to think big. And if you don't say it, who will? Like Whitney Houston said, I believe that children are the future. Right? I think we have the children. Right? But the point is, somebody has got to say it. Right? Now, over the course of the week, you're going to get to that space where you'll be able to hold it and say it, specifically. And I'm not necessarily interested right now in you saying what that is. What I want you to do is think about right now, what is that thing that you are most committed to? That you could wake up every morning for the rest of your life and say, that's the thing that I'm devoting my life to. And I wake up every morning energized and jazzed and excited about that. And once you know what that is, I want you to stand up. It could be many things. Right? Once you know what it is, stand up. And if you're confused and you don't know, stand up anyway. Okay, that's where our coffee's down. Awesome. So now, in Song of Myself by Walt Whitman, he says, I sound my barbaric yaw or the rooftops of the world. Here we are in New York City, the rooftops of the world. Right? And what we're going to do is we're going to yaw together. Now, what's a yawp? A yawp is just a sound, right? It's an onomatopoeic, barbaric sound, right? But into the yawp, what you are going to put is the meaning of that which you are committed to. World peace, ending hunger, ending poverty, equal rights, 9 women Supreme Court justices, whatever. Whatever that is for you, I want you to put that into the yawp. Okay, so on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah! 1, 2, 3. Yeah! 1, 2, 3. Yeah! Sit down. That is the sound that will transform the world. That's the kernel. Remember that sound. Remember that force. Remember that power. In the poem Ulysses by Lord Tennyson, right at the end, Ulysses, the Greek hero, says, that which we are, we are. One equal temper of heroic hearts, made weak by time and fate, but strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Go big, strive. Go big, seek. Go big, find. Go big, never, never